On Two Wheels this week, Jeff takes a ride on Honda's new middleweight tourer, the 650cc Deauville. And Claire spends a day with the boys in blue who ride motorcycles. But first, Wayne travels to Wales to find out what some superbike riders do on a winter's day.
On a Sunday winter's day, what would you do if you owned something like an R1 or a ZX or maybe a Fireblade or some other form of superbike? Well, you probably won't go out and ride it because it's too cold and miserable. You may even sit in your garage and polish it. Not these lads, oh no. These do own superbikes and look what they do on a winter Sunday day. They get their off-road gear on and play on these things: enduro, trail, trials, motocross bikes, in fact anything, because this is a hare and hounds enduro. It doesn't matter what type or age of bike you wish to use, nor does it matter what ability you have to ride one, because there is a class for everyone. The officials who are voluntary, thanks lads, check the machines over, for your safety of course, and away you go to the start. These are in various groups, with the good lads first, Mr Average next, and I'll go at my pace thanks, at the back. The event will last a few hours or until you collapse, and it's the man who has completed the most laps wins. There are regular enduro lads in these events and some road bike riders as well, as this man John Mercer explains. John, now I've explained to our viewers that you're a road bike rider. In fact, you have a nice shiny sports bike, you have all the poser gear and everything.
Yes.
Look at you, you're a disgrace.
I know, it's fun.
And you, every Sunday you get up and do your hair, pointed bits,
yeah.
Gold, green, yellow,
Try
purple,
best, yeah.
Everything. You look, pose. And the bike, look at the bike. You're out of order. Why do you put yourself through such an ordeal? Come on, explain. Where's the fun?
It's just fun. It's just entertaining. It's different to a road bike. You're sliding around, there's mud, and this time of year now you can't really go out on a road bike, so you've got to do something else, haven't you?
Well, you could go to the pub, you could go to a cafe,
yeah,
but you want to do this instead.
This is just...
Do you take tablets or anything like that?
Not for this, no, but I have got a condition, yeah.
Yeah, we know, you must have a condition, yeah. Right, go on then. So do you reckon it improves your road bike riding?
Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. You just get out, you just feel more confident on a bike. If you are going to be in a slide, say on a road bike, you just feel as if you could probably handle it a bit more. I mean, I've been out on a road bike a few times in the wet, bit of diesel say, and you just feel a bit more in control.
So you reckon you could keep it upright or whatever? It could help, could save a few quid, or even self-preservation. You could survive the ordeal. Yeah. All right, so that's helping you improve on your road bike riding and everything. But I mean, this obviously costs a few quid. I mean, you have to invest a few pounds in it. This is a posing machine. You don't have to get a fancy. I mean, out there's some pretty average trail bikes and some old four-strokes and things. Would you say it's worth investing in a decent fancy machine like this?
Yeah, I mean, this is a few years old, so it's not costing thousands and thousands. You get something a few years old, quite reasonable. There's no tax, no insurance. It's just literally the running cost of the bike then. Yeah. And just obviously your protective gear.
What do you do if you're not like, you're out on your road bike and you're not on this in a competition? Where would you go then? Is there places you can go and play?
On a road bike?
No, on these things, you know, like...
It's like the event we've got here, but really there's not that much. You know, you want to go and speak to a farmer, say, something like that.
Slip them a couple of quid and you get to play out.
Use your field for the day, that sort of thing. You know, everyone's happy, aren't they?
Yeah, fair enough then. Yeah. Are you eager to get back on again, or are you just, have you had enough?
Possibly in a bit, but it was a baptism of fire, something like that.
You've had enough for the moment, you just need a rest.
Yeah.
Massage. Massage! I'm afraid there wasn't anyone there willing to offer their services, but there was plenty of mud, and there was more mud, and even more mud, and with the mud there was rain, and also there were plenty of knackered riders and helpers. But even in those conditions, some of the riders were still very, very fast. And one of those riders that was missing was in fact a friend of ours, and a man who is not new to two wheels, Mike Boot. Now, we've met this reprobate before. Mike, you're the man who paints helmets, bikes, repairs them, does all the plastic welding, all that lot. On road bikes, we know you from a road bike interest, but what are you doing here with this thing, this creation?
Getting very muddy, very wet and very agitated.
Why are you agitated? You're supposed to enjoy yourself, you know.
On the first corner,
we're not having any excuses here, are we?
A man who will remain nameless, but I know where he lives, took me out. So I was dead last off the first corner. And in my keenness...
Do you know there's people watching this, mate? I want to know, people watching this, and they're thinking that you're getting a bit soft here.
Well, I'm hoping the police are not watching, because I'm going to commit offences.
This is a sporting activity. You're supposed to be out there, enjoying yourself and have a sporting spirit.
Well, the majority of the people on here can ride. Unfortunately, the man in front of me couldn't ride. He obviously had not done his CBT.
I'm trying to do this game some good, mate. Now, come on. You've got a few folk out there. You've got a very respectable machine here, a top-class piece of equipment, fancy CR motocross bike. Some people out there haven't got this fancy kit. They've got a nice little old trail bike or something. You've got to give a bit of room, man, a bit of space.
True. Well, they shouldn't have been at the front.
That's right. Now, there's. I can understand that.
There's three classes.
Right.
And people who can't ride should go
in the can't ride class.
In the can't ride class at the back.
Thus, the name of the event, Hare and Hounds.
Yes.
So you let the hare shoot off and the hounds follow. Is this the principle?
Well, I think this one's actually going to be rechristened the Hare and Wobblers. Because that man has just, well, I'm speechless.
Right, now have you got that off your chest?
Yes.
Right, tell us about this fancy bike here now then.
This bike should be on the podium today with me sat on it.
It should be, but it's not because of the wobblers getting in the way. But that's the name of the game, mate. You've got to get by them. It's like stock cars.
As you said to me, sporting. So I'm not going to go around and kick people off to get back up there.
Oh,
I've just bit the bullet.
You surprise me, because I expect to see you doing that. In fact, I reckon you're going to go out there now and go and do that, aren't you?
I am going to go out there now and I'm going to hide behind a tree, wait for number X, we shall say. And with my scaffolding post, it's going to go through the spokes of his wheel.
I think we better leave it there before we get sued.
I think we better had.
Now I want to introduce these two, Chris and Kev Jones, who are respectable business, well, maybe respectable is not the right term, but they are businessmen and they ride road bikes. And look at them, you're in a right state. What a decent chaps aren't you doing on a muddy, horrible Sunday day riding bikes like this?
It's a good question, it's a good question. Basically, with our road bikes being off the road for the winter, we're not prepared to take them on the roads due to the salt and such like. So we'd like to still keep our hands in, let's say. This is an ideal way of doing it, you know, even though it looks a bit dirty. As I mentioned before, it's a cheap form of sport. It's still a way we can come out and, as you see, there's a good gang of lads here. We're all having a good laugh, enjoying ourselves while the road bikes are safely tied away.
To look at you, you look like you're enjoying yourself, but watching people taking the gloves and helmets off and then collapsing to the floor, yes. I'm not so sure about the enjoyment factor.
It's a good point.
Yeah, you know. Chris, tell us, I mean, what road bike do you ride?
Well, I've got an R1 at home, which is like the dog's dangling bits, which obviously we all know all about R1s. But it's like, there's no way can you appreciate them with the roads the way they are. If you're no good going out on a road bike.
No, you're risking yourself and your bike, yeah.
So again, it's like, get a couple of grand for the crosser, get out here, enjoy yourself, and like...
It is cheap, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, you know, when you bought your bikes, did you by any chance think to yourself, well, I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll have a budget of 7,000 or 8,000 quid, knock off a couple of grand. I know your R1s are beautiful, they've got all the bits and pieces on, but if you would buy one, maybe just kick into touch a few thousand quid and put that in the kitty and buy an off-road bike. Do you reckon that's the way to go?
Yeah.
If you've got a budget to stick to that. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because you can ride on the road through the summer if you want, get a crosser, go out and play out here.
Yeah.
Through the winter.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, it stems back from road racing. We both used to do road racing years ago on sidecars, and we bought crossers in the winter to keep you fit.
Yeah.
We got the bug
Yeah.
And we started racing them then.
There's an awful lot of people who are infamous sportsmen. I mean, exactly, yeah, and Foggy and all the boys, they go out and do enduros and trail bike riding, and this is really an extension of it, isn't it? Really.
As we mentioned before, John was saying about improving your road skills, which it does.
It does. Yeah.
In the past, if on a road bike, if you get the back end twist that slip out a little bit, you generally lose a little bit of adrenaline, as we know.
Yeah.
But nowadays, with having the experience we've got through riding off-road bikes, you soon realise that it's not the end of the world, and just, you know, you can control it, whereas in the past maybe we wouldn't be able to.
So really, I mean, if it could at all be managed in this manner, you could actually suggest that to do off-road riding in maybe some of the training would be an asset to a road bike rider.
Certainly for actual control skills of the bike. I mean, obviously you're not going to learn road skills, but for control skills, most definitely. Because especially with these things, they're both 250s, one Yamaha, one Honda. They're both only a couple of years old, so they're reasonably good tackle, and they're quite quick. But of course, they're nowhere near as quick as an R1.
No.
So they both complement each other, and you learn skills through this that you can translate to your road bike and vice versa. It's good fun, and as was mentioned, it keeps you fit.
Well,
what I'm not sure, like.
Well, no, I mean, well, thanks very much, lads, for talking to us. And this really is a good advert to you road bike lads out there to perhaps consider getting a trail bike or a motocross bike and going and having a play like this. It hasn't cost a lot of money. I think they should leave the bikes in the garage myself and polish them maybe, or do something else. They're crackers.
It's only a bit of mud. We will survive.
Well, that was pretty easy. Can't wait for the next event. I just hope it's twice as long. Not.
I'm ready to die now.
Or in the pub, one of them.
And coming up after the break on Two Wheels, Claire spends the day with the Greater Manchester Police Bikes, and Jeff rides the new Honda Deauville.
Do any of you remember the TV advert of the 70s which said you meet the nicest person on a Honda? Well, I bet the admin wish they had this, the Honda Deauville. It's civilised, it's quiet, it's competent, a good all-rounder. It's a bit like me, really. Seriously though, folks, although this is a bike built more to serve than surf, it acquits itself well as an all-season, all-reason bike. It's practical in the extreme with a full fairing and built-in panniers. A mini pan-European, say Honda, and they're dead right. Well, just take a look at the fairing for a start. Up here you've even got two places for speakers, just like a pan or even a Goldwing. Down here is where the radio goes, in this little cubby hole here, which you can take off. And this side here, this one's a lockable one. Just pop the old key in there. There we are. Put sandwiches, tools, or whatever you want to do in there. The only thing this fairing hasn't got, as you can see down here, is any fairing lowers. See, the fairing ends there, but you can get lowers, but they're going to cost you £105 extra. And I reckon in bad weather, you'd need them, as you're going to get wet tootsies. But on the other hand, these panniers come built in. Come free if you like, and they also come with optional lids. And by that, I don't mean you either leave them on or leave them off, because that would be rather stupid. But you get two lids. This is the shallow lid. This gives you 17 litres of capacity using them both. If you get the bigger lid, it gives you 27 litres, which is pretty cool, really. Bags of touring capacity. Up front here on the fairing, you'll recognise these crash bar bumps again. Exactly the same as the Pan-European. If you do drop the bike, they'll protect the fairing and also give you something to lift the bike up on. Coming up to the top of the fairing here, you've got a digital clock, speedo and rev counter, but you haven't got a fuel gauge, which I do think is a bit odd on a touring bike like this. But you haven't got that, but you do have a reserve tap down here, which is a bit old-fashioned but very nice. One reason for this might be its 200-mile range at its average of 55-60 to the gallon. And this isn't as a result of poor performance. It's obviously no Fireblade, but the 53 brake horse 650 V-twin punts out the ponies when it has to, and using the 5-speed gearbox, you certainly don't feel lacking in poke. It seems to match its style, just like its highly civilised shaft drive. Something else that's very civilised on this bike, it's got a centre stand. Get it up off the old side stand, there it is, tucked away there. Heave him up, brilliant. And after all, when you've got a touring bike like this, with you've got your panniers, you've probably got a tank bag on, centre stand very useful for loading up the bike. And why they don't fit them on sports bikes, I don't know. For a couple of kilos, that's all it's going to weigh. And talking of this bike, Captain Sensible I'm going to call this, look at this for a grab rail. Your pillion passenger's going to feel dead secure on this. Talking of touring, it has got a list of options. It's got heated grips for a start off. Not on this one, unfortunately, but I could use them today. My hands are absolutely freezing. And you can also have a CD player as well, or perhaps instead of the radio. At the back here, you can have a colour-coded top box fits on these points here. It makes you the complete touring bike. And when you think this one is just 6 months old with just 700 miles on the clock, this will cost you just £4,800. That's got to be some sort of bargain.
Now, one of the most popular working bikes has to be the police bike. Sid, a fairly diverse career, dangerous at times. I presume the training's quite strict you've got to go through for this.
It is, absolutely, yes. Once an officer has been accepted to go onto a motorcycle unit, having got successfully through an interview, they then have to go on a 5-week advanced motorcycle course, which is a very intense course, after which they have a 3-week period on a traffic skills course where they learn different aspects of traffic law. I mean, I like to speak to motorcyclists and advise them on certain aspects of their riding. It's not something that we always like to do to report offenders. It's more of an advisory role as well that we carry out. For example, earlier this year we were advising a lot of motorcyclists about the clothing that they were wearing. Yeah. During the warm months they'll wear shorts and t-shirts, and obviously it doesn't bear thinking about it.
No,
they,
absolutely not.
To scrape them off the road. So in that respect, I like to think that they think that we are quite approachable.
Well, you all have your own bike, don't you? Your own individual bike that you use on an everyday basis.
Yes. Yeah, the reason for that, again, is each bike can be set up differently on suspension settings to suit an individual rider's weight and riding style.
Now, this is obviously not your box standard pan-European. What has been changed on this?
Right, apart from the obvious, we've got the emergency equipment, the blue lights, the livery on the motorcycle. We have the VASCAR equipment, which is a speed checking equipment.
Right.
We have a calibrated speedometer for following checks, again for speed offences. We have a radio that plugs into the helmet through a jack plug. But the main advantage of motorcycles during the day is the manoeuvrability. Getting through traffic. You can actually get between lanes of parked cars or cars with traffic lights. Also accessibility to back alleys on estates where they're having problems with crime, providing high profile presence.
Now, the panniers, you've got something interesting in there, I believe.
We have, yes.
Incriminating evidence it could be, I believe.
It is a video camera.
For catching all us speeding motorists.
Absolutely not.
Not me, of course.
It can also be used for advising motorists as to the manner of driving.
That's pretty cool, that is, I think. So the camera's obviously, look, you've got a little camera around here on the front, have you, somewhere?
The camera's situated to the
there,
just
right.
to the offside of the motorcycle.
It's a really clear picture, that, isn't it?
Can be used as evidence in court for examples of bad driving, dangerous or careless driving.
Well, you've got the reliability and the comfort with this, but you've got an off-road section, haven't you?
No, we used to have. We've just lost the off-road section due to cost-cutting and other policy decisions.
Right, but you've got an off-road bike.
Well, we now have the Honda Transalp, which has replaced the 620 KTMs that we used
to
have. The capability off-road is very limited compared to what the KTMs were capable of.
I bet they had some great fun on them, didn't they?
They did. Unfortunately, those days are now over. It's not as effective in pursuing and catching off-road motorcycles, but they are capable and can go into areas where the road patrol bike can't go onto, such as canal towpaths and fields. We are a force support unit, and we could be called upon to carry out duties such as escorts for abnormal loads. We can also support divisions on any initiatives they have, such as crime initiatives or the traffic initiatives. We also deal with local, national and European campaigns such as speed, drink driving, use of mobile phones, that sort of thing.
Now, you've obviously got the surveillance equipment in here, and you're not really going to see you coming on this if you're driving up pretty quick, but have you got any unmarked police bikes that you use, like the unmarked cars?
Yes, not currently, but we have ordered some, and we're expecting some early next year. They will be used, again, to evidence bad driving, dangerous and careless driving. Whereas, obviously, if somebody sees a police motorcycle, which is quite a high-profile machine, they will behave themselves.
Dude, you know what's going to happen now, though, don't you? Anyone's going to see a pan-European on the road in plain clothes, and everyone's going to be, like, looking behind them, checking for sirens or something.
That's right, well, it'll make them more aware anyway, won't it?
Are there any excuses I can get away with? I've got quite a few points on my licence, and I need to be, if I smile sweetly, and will I be able to get away with it? No.
It'd come quite close with yourself, but generally not, I'm afraid.
So thank you very much indeed.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Thanks.
On Two Wheels next week, we'll be bringing you some highlights of this year's Manchester Motorcycle Show, where we took the cameras behind the scenes to see some of the work required to bring a major event to you.